Hey everyone, it's Angie and today's March 24th, 2017, and today starts the 30-day countdown for our big move. I mentioned in my last video that we found our property and that I would make a video to talk a bit about it. So that's what I'm going to do right here. So if you're interested in finding out why we picked the property we picked, and how we found it, and how we're able to travel such a far distance to this property and close on it and all of that stuff, stay tuned. You'll get all the details. Okay, so the property that we found is in southern Missouri, and we currently live in Pennsylvania. So we're about to embark on a new journey that is 1,000 miles away from where we currently live, which is so huge and amazing and also kind of scary and overwhelming. But this is why we picked this property. I'm going to share on the reasons why we picked it and why we're moving so far. Because we were kind of open to staying in Pennsylvania if we found something that had everything that we were looking for, but we just couldn't find anything in our price range that had everything we wanted and were looking for like this property did. So this property is about 10 acres. It's technically 9.7 acres. And that was about what we were looking for, 10 to 15 acres. So that worked out beautifully for us. We can definitely make things work the way we want on about 10 acres. Another thing that we really liked about this property was the fact that it had a livable home on the property. That was something really important that we had, because my father-in-law is just too old to rough it. He can't rough it the way, we wanted to rough it. We wanted to get a raw piece of land originally, but, we would have had to make him rough it, and we couldn't do that. We had to be responsible and make it comfortable for him to move so far away. So we did that. We found something that had a livable home on the property. It has electric already set up. And another thing about this property we really, really loved, our own water source. There's 2 wells on the property. Now, I'm not sure if the one well is really functional or not, but the other well is. And just because the other one may not be super functional right now doesn't mean we might not be able to fix it up. It might be contaminated or something, and if that's the case, I don't know if we can bounce back from that, but at minimum we'll be able to hopefully make it functional in some other way. Now, I'm sitting in my car because the natural light just works really, really good to make videos, and I get peace and quiet from the dogs and the kid and the husband and the father-in-law and everybody else. Not to mention my house is just such a mess right now preparing for the move. So my little thingy here that's supposed to hold my phone keeps falling. Anyway, let me hurry up and make this video before it falls again. Probably will, but try to really stick it on there good. Okay, sorry about that interruption. So we have water on the property. What do we have so far? We have 10 acres. We have a livable home on the property. That's not actually even going to be our permanent home. We're planning, because it's a mobile home, it's older, it's like from 1996, and I don't know, we kind of want the more rustic look. We want like a cabin, so we're going to build a house at some point on the property. So it's got 10 acres, a livable home on the property, and it's got its own water source. But those aren't even all the reasons why we picked this property, even though those 3 things were 3 things we were really, really serious, like, we're not really willing to negotiate when it comes to picking properties for anything but less than that. But some other things that we were looking for was woods. We really wanted woods on our property. We wanted enough of a clearing for gardening and living and stuff like that, but we want woods, a lot of functional woods. And that's what this property has. This property has full covering of woods on about 9 acres, but they're not so dense it's difficult to get through them. It's very easy to make paths through this property. They kind of probably get a little bit more dense the further back you go, because it's more of a narrower type of a piece of a property. But there's woods, and that's really what we wanted. We wanted a lot of functional woods. We want to try to source as much materials off of our land as we possibly could, and wood is one of those sources that we wanted to be able to work with. We needed mature woods. There's a lot of young woods, and there's also a lot of mature woods, so we're really, really happy with that. Oh, and it's a mix of woods. There's all kinds of, there's pines, there's birch, there's walnut, there's oak. I mean, we got like all kinds of woods on this property. It's super, super exciting. Now, another real big winner for this property for us was it already has food on the property. Let me explain. It has mature fruit trees. Huge selling point for me. That to me was like, it had the 10 acres, it had its own water source, and then it had a livable house. And then the next thing I said to myself, it has fruit trees. I'm in. I'm in. Sign me up now. My husband and my father-in-law still needed a little time to think and make sure that this was the property they wanted. But me, I knew right away, it has mature fruit trees. I'm in. Sold. Sign the deal. Let's go. All kinds of fruit trees. This lady was like a crazy canning lady. Like, I mean, she actually, inside the trailer, the mobile home, I'm going to do a tour, a video tour when we get down there. But she actually lined all of the walls inside the house, in the living room and in the hallways and in the kitchen, with canning shelves. It's like covered floor to ceiling canning shelves. So I won't have a whole lot of problem with storing my food. So, I just thought that was so hilarious. So she planted a whole bunch of fruit trees so she can can like a crazy lady, and that's what she did. So happy with that. Not a problem. Berries. There's a bunch of wild berries all over the property. We got mulberry trees, elderberry trees. My husband thinks he saw some wild raspberry bushes. The lady also said that there's definitely wild raspberry bushes and wild blackberry bushes. So real excited about the food that's already on the property. Another selling point for us, now this wasn't on our list of have-to-haves, and neither was the fruit trees. That was a bonus. But another thing that I really like about this property is there's a lot of outbuildings on the property. We have like 3 sheds and like 3 or 4 chicken coops. 2 of them are in really good shape. I think it was 2. If it's 3 altogether, then 1 was really good. If there was 4 altogether, then 2 were really good. I can't remember because I didn't actually go see the property. My husband did with my father-in-law. So I didn't really get to see anything besides what he showed me on a video. So I'll have to see when I get there. But there's chicken coops on the property. Another bonus, there's actually more. Another bonus was that there is a pond on the property. Now it's kind of a small pond. You could fit about a canoe in it. The canoe ain't gonna go anywhere, but you can fit the canoe into it. I'm kind of thinking, I don't know enough about ponds, but I'm kind of thinking and hoping that if we dig it enough when it's dry, because it dries out in the summer, if we can dig it out enough, maybe it'll fill even more and fill so much that it doesn't fully dry out, and it would be a really good place for waterfowl. There's actually 2 chicken coops right near the pond, so if I had like ducks or geese, they'll be able to easily access the pond, and I'll be able to keep a close eye on them. So that's another thing. It's got a pond on the property. Small, not super functional. We can't really stock it in its current condition with fish or anything like that, but it's a bonus to know that there is a pond on the property that we can work with. Anything else? Oh, yes. These things are so important that I'm about to mention. Taxes are ridiculously low. We're currently in Pennsylvania paying $8,000 a year for taxes. This property is $120 a year in taxes. There's no restrictions on animals. There's really no restrictions on anything. You don't need any permits to build or do anything on your property. Just, you know, don't be an idiot and do stupid things on your property. But there's really no rules, regulations with animals and stuff like that. And that's, when you want a homestead, that's something really important to look at when you're looking for a piece of property. Look at the county that you're trying to get into, and make sure they're not going to come knocking on your door and say, hey, you have too many goats. You can only have 2 goats. Because then if you can only have 2 goats, you might not even be able to breed goats. And that's kind of a big deal. You want to really know how much. I mean, some counties won't even let you have chickens, or will only let you have like 5 chickens or something like that. So you really want to research this kind of stuff. And if you don't research it, like what I did was I just went to Landwatch website. I'll make a link for it down below so you can check it out. And then almost all of those properties are being represented by a realtor. And what I did was, as I was calling these realtors when I found a property I liked, and I would ask them, I had a list of questions, and I would ask them about rules, regulations, permits, taxes, trash collection, all of those details you want to know in advance. You don't want any surprises when you get there. None. You want not one surprise. What else? There's something else I know I wanted to talk about. See, I should have had a list of things before I made this video. Yes, it's in a really interesting spot. Flooding was something we were really concerned about. We didn't want to flood or have flood issues. This property is in a mountainous area, but the property that we have, it kind of like the surrounding properties kind of slope up gently, and then we're at the very top, and our whole property is practically flat, which is really great for drainage, runoff, things like that. Yeah, we're so very excited. Now, we're closing on April 24th here, and we're also closing there on April 24th. We basically already signed all the paperwork, and she's mailing the keys out to us in, here we go. She's mailing out the keys to us in about 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll already have the keys. And, our our title company, when we close on our house, is going to cut a check for the woman in Missouri that we're buying from, and they are going to wire the money directly, and then all of the paperwork is going to be overnighted the night before for us to close on the property down there. So you can close remotely too. That's not a problem with most title companies. I mean, because they can just overnight paperwork, and you know, it's a pretty simple process. What else? Yeah, I'm really excited, really nervous, but really excited. How are we moving everything? We're using like one of those trailer services. They drop off a trailer at your house. You pack it full of all of your stuff, and they come and pick it up with the tractor, and they ship it off to where you're going to be. And we set ours to come pick up 4 days before. No, they're dropping it off. No, yeah, they're dropping it off 4 days before. Before we close. They're going to pick it up the day before we close, and they should hopefully have it at our location by the time we get there, because it's a 2 days to travel to our new home. And so that's how we're moving our stuff. We're not bringing everything though, because we have a lot of stuff that's not even in that great of shape. We're going to just replace when we get down there. But all the stuff that we want to take, we have like a wood stove we want to take. We don't want to heat with propane. We want to heat with our wood stove. So we're going to bring our wood stove and a few other things that we really want. But yeah, I mean, this wound up being a really cool process. Like I mentioned, we used LandWatch to find this property, and you can put in the parameters in the search fields of what you're looking for, and they'll give you the best results they can in your price range. So we did like a price range, we did an acre range, we did price, acre, and that was pretty much it for us, because we were open to location. We were open to Tennessee, we were open to Arkansas, we were open to West Virginia, we were open to Kentucky. We were kind of open to a few different areas, but we settled on this area in Missouri, and we are so excited. Southern Missouri. Oh, another really big important thing I wanted to mention was location. It was really important to us to be pretty remote, but not be so remote that it's difficult to get to a hospital or have access to emergency services if an emergency arose, whatever you want to say. Also, my father-in-law, he has some health issues. He has to go to doctors on a monthly basis, so we didn't want to be so far from a big city that, you know, we wouldn't be able to access these things easily. So this was really actually on the list of things we had to have. We had to be within an hour to a major city, and within a half hour to a small town where we could still buy things, get gas, stuff like that. These things were just important to us because I have a son, a 13-year-old son, and we have an elderly, father in the house. We need to be sure that we keep them in mind for emergency situations, and that was something that was very important to us. And the reason I made this video is I am super excited. I wanted to share my excitement with you all, but I also wanted to kind of talk about these things because, something I might say, you might be looking for property, you're thinking about property and what you're looking for, and a lot of times you think about the things that may not be the most important things. Sometimes we think about the scenery. Do I have a beautiful mountain view, or am I on the edge of a river, or something like that? And those things may be really important to you for reasons that aren't important to me. I don't know, maybe you have severe depression and you really need to be in a beautiful area to help with your depression or your spiritual well-being or something like that. And that's fine if that's really what one of your main goals of homesteading is. If you're less concerned with practicality and more concerned with being remote and having beautiful views, then great, go do that. Even if you're remote, you can still have a little chicken coop with some chickens. But me talking about this, because we all like to romanticize the idea of starting a homestead, and I think sometimes we don't think about the practical things that come up that we got to think about. We got to think about water. I mean, that you hear that all the time. We got to think about how we're going to heat our property, and heat our house, and how we're going to do this and that and this and that. But I think it's really important to think about other things too. One of the really big important things to us was, are we going to be close enough to a big city in case of an emergency? So the town that we're going to be close to, if they can't handle a certain situation, emergency situation that comes up, they will air you out into the closest hospital. So we're going to be about an hour away from Springfield, Missouri, which makes me feel super, super comfortable. I'm very, very happy to be close to a large city. This is the third largest city in Missouri, so it's really got everything you need in that city. But even like the close town to where we're going to be living has pretty much everything we need. We're not going to need much else outside of that major town. It has all the banks. It's got the stores, the Walmart, all the feed supplies places. It's got everything in this little town about a half hour away. So it's not as convenient as what I'm used to. I'm sitting literally 2 minutes from my house, and You know, I don't know if you, nah, you can't see it, but I'm sitting in a parking lot near my house, about 2 minutes away, and I'm in a strip mall. There's a Kmart, a Ross, a Marshalls, and a supermarket, a gym. Across the street, there's a McDonald's. I'm sitting right next to a Sonic, Ruby Tuesday. I mean, we've got everything here. Super convenience. So this is going to be a huge change for us. We're not used to being 30 minutes away from convenience. We're not used to, you know, a lot of things. A lot of things are going to change big time in our lives. And we are aware of that, and we are prepared for that to some degree, but I think it's still going to be a huge culture shock. We're just going to one day wake up and say, what did we do? Oh my gosh, I'm craving ice cream. I can't just run out and get ice cream, or whatever stupid little thing comes up, you know, like, oh my gosh, somehow we ran out of milk, and oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to blah, 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 blah. I think, you know, we are going to kind of experience that. We're the typical lazy Americans right now, like, that are just all about convenience and, you know, push a button type of thing. We want it now, you know, and this is going to be a culture shock. And I think that's the thing that we got to remember is, as romantic as homesteading sounds and you envision it to be realistic and understand it's not going to be that romantic. There'll be moments where you're just like in awe of the beauty surrounding you, and there'll be moments where you are falling in the poopy mud and you're gonna be like, why did I choose this over my old life? So you always have to hold on to the reasons why you're doing what you're doing, because for me, the reasons are big and they're meaningful to me, and as hard as it's going to be, I know it's going to be so worth it. And we're so excited, scared, but excited. I've been reading books like crazy and making my son read books like crazy. My husband's been reading books like crazy. He's reading all the gardening books. I'm reading all of the animal husbandry books. My son is just learning about homesteading in general. So this is going to be a big deal for us. Really big deal. So excited. But I'm going to keep you all up on the journey. And I'm going to make a video really soon talking about some of our goals on our homestead in detail. Not just like why we want to do what we're doing, but like what we want to do specifically on the homestead. So there's no way I could fit that into this video, almost 23 minutes in, but I am going to make another video. And I'm sorry this one's so long, but I really just wanted to share all the amazing details about our new property because it's so exciting for us. Anyways, I will cut this short finally. And I will talk to you all later, I guess. Wish us luck. I'm going to post this tonight. And 30 days, baby, 30 days, and we are gone. I will see you next time.